We'll get you soon enough. All right. I have a story this morning, and it's called God in Us. God in Us. Now, let me tell you something. There was this little boy, not very old. They lived in a small town, so everything was nice there. But he wasn't very old. But he was sitting down one morning, and he says, man, I wish I could meet God. And he thought, and I said, I want to meet God. So you know what he decided to do? He decided, today I am going to meet God. So he says, I'm going to search for God until I find him. So of course, he decides to get his little bag and he puts in some root beer. Who likes root beer? I hate it. But root beer is very nice for a lot of you. I don't like it. I can't get the taste of it. But he put some root beer in his bag, and he put some cupcakes that his mom had baked and everything, and he put it in his little bag, and he set out on the journey to meet God. So he left his house, went to meet God. On the other side of town, there was an old man. He was very old, but he still could walk and do his stuff, older than me, because I know you're saying, me old. I ain't old yet. He's older than me. And he can still walk. So he got up in the morning, and he was feeling a bit grumpy and stuff. And he said to his son, I'm leaving. And his son said, where are you going? He's like, I'm depressed, but I'm going to leave and walk out a little bit. And his son said, what's wrong with you, Dad? He's like, there's just not enough God in people these days. And it's just depressing me. And his son said, okay, so he left. Anyway, he went to the park. That's the old man. The youngster, still on his journey, searching for God, and he's looking for God everywhere. He's searching. Soon he got tired. It's about midday, and he's hungry. So he says, I'll just stop at the park and just eat some of this food, these delicious cupcakes, So he went to the park, and there he saw the old man sitting on the park bench. So he went, and he sat right beside him. And the old man said, how are you doing? And he says, I'm doing fine. And the old man took out of his pocket, and he had some bread, and he was there feeding the pigeons. You know pigeons? Some birds that fly. You ever see them? You need to go to New York City. They're all over the place. But some little birds that fly, and people feed them with bread and stuff. Some people do it here with ducks on the water. But yeah, so he was feeding the pigeons, and he was breaking the bread, and he was showing them. And the youngster said, why are you doing that? And the old man said, listen, these are God's creatures, and it doesn't hurt to do a little good to feed them. All these things God created. And so when God created all these things, it doesn't hurt to do good. And the man said to the little boy, a little good coming from persons is what God wants, because when you love God, then there is a piece of him inside of you, which is love. And so you give away that love to others. It's as if you're giving a piece of God away. And the little boy went, oh, wonderful. Soon, all this bread was finished. And the little old man said, whew, it's a hot day. Oh, and I'm hungry. I guess I better start walking back home. The little boy said, no, don't leave. And he says, what is it? He says, let me share some of my lunch with you. The man says, but you don't know me. He says, no, I don't, but you're one of God's creatures. And so the little boy took out 2 of his cupcakes, gave to the man, gave him a root beer, and they all sat there together, and they had lunch, and they talked, had a wonderful time. Then the little old man went his way, and the little boy went back home. So when he got home, his mother's like, where have you been? I've been missing you all day. Where did you go? And he's like, oh, Mom, don't worry. I had lunch with God. His mom was like, you had what? I had lunch with God. Oh, okay, explain. He said, listen, when I left here, I left to meet God. And I wanted to see God. But I met a man in the park, and this man showed me that every time I love God more and more, he's more and more inside me. So the more I do good, it's me giving back a piece of God to somebody else. His mom said, whoa. So you did have lunch with God? He said, yes. The little old man now, he, finally made it home. Barely, but he made it home. And his son said, Dad, where have you been all day? He's like, God is still around. He's like, what are you talking about? He said, I left this morning thinking that there's not enough of God in people all around. But I met a little boy today who showed me kindness and remind me that there is still God in persons. Listen, not because you're young as you are right now. When you love God and you have him inside of you, you can share it with somebody else by just doing good. That's how you share God. So when you see your friends and they're crying, go and hug them, find out what's wrong, do something good for them. If you have lunch and somebody else doesn't have lunch, what do? You share some of your lunch. When you get all those candy bars from Trick or Treat, you come and share it with Pastor. But what I'm trying to say is, do a little good. Because every time you do good, then you are sharing the God that is inside you. And that's children's time for today.